What's good folks, it's KNIGHTMARE here with a new Warframe video coming at you with the top 5 most overpowered melee weapons. Now this list is comprised of weapons that have insane scaling damage. And when I say scaling, I mean going up against high level enemies because most of the content I do are EIDOLON hunts and endurance runs. Sounds dull, but that's all there is at this point. Currently, the melee meta is at a stale point where you either have the same setup for literally 90% of the melee or change things up depending on a Riven or a Warframe and or a weapon build synergy. And if you're planning to get a Riven, here is what you want from most combo-based melee: crit damage, range, and attack speed with a harmless negative. However, if the Riven disposition is lower, then 2 positives would be a wiser choice, and you can either get crit damage or range, or attack speed, depending on what is needed more. For the heavy attack variants, you want damage, crit chance, and initial combo with a harmless negative, or crit chance, crit damage, damage with a harmless negative, and 2 positives with a negative if the disposition is lower. And why negatives? Because they greatly increase the attributes of the positives. Also, since I won't go in depth with the specifics of melee modding in this video, you can check out my advanced melee modding guide to get the nitty-gritty details. And just to point this out, depending on when you watch this video, the weapons are either vaulted or unvaulted, but just know that they're always available for trade from other players. The builds shown for these weapons will be for scaling damage and for you to go even further beyond, so nothing stupid like running Virulent Heat on one build. And also, no Rivens are needed. Now let's start off with a banger, and that is the Reaper Prime. It is a mastery rank 10 scythe and currently the best scythe in the game. It is heavy in the slash department, great crits, status chance, and overall usage. If you're a fan of red crits, then this weapon will get you there in an instant. This weapon can be modded for combos and heavy attacks, and its heavy attacks force proc bleeds for the crazy instantaneous damage. The combo build is the go-to condition overload for the scaling raw damage for each unique status effect on a target, Blood Rush for the 660% crit chance at max combo, Weeping Wounds for the 440% status chance at max combo, Reach for the range, never go without range unless it's a gunblade or a thrown melee, attack speed and critical multiplier, and the last 2 mods are for utility and damage increase. Spring Loaded gives an extra 2 meters in range, and Prime Smite mod is a damage multiplier towards the faction you're up against. I know there are people who don't like these mods, but this is the way to go if you want crazy amounts of damage. Basically doubling all the bleed damage and pretty much hitting the enemies harder. For the elemental variant, I did swap out Spring Loaded for a toxin mod, since bleeds and toxin just allow you to do even crazier levels of damage, especially when paired with a smite mod and 10 stacks of viral, which will come from your utility weapon. And finally, the heavy attack variant for the initial damage and forced bleeds. It has raw damage and static crits, initial combo since heavy attacks scale from raw damage, and combo counter. Alright, moving on to number 4, the NAMI SKYLA Prime, a mastery rank 11 dual swords and the strongest one of its weapon archetype. It is heavy in the slash department, decent crits, insane attack speed, and damn good status chance. Now, you can get crazy multi-hit combos, knock down enemies, and force proc bleeds with the Swirling Tiger stance. This weapon can only be modded for combos, as dual swords don't do great with heavy attack damage and don't force proc bleeds. For the build, it's the go-to non-elemental combo. I bet you're already noticing a pattern with these builds and how there's very little variety in builds if you want scaling damage, and of course switch it up for the added toxin damage if you want more damage over time and just destroys non-armored units. This is best for frames who can strip armor. And now on to number 3, the GLAIVE Prime, an MR10 thrown melee, and of course best of its kind. Glaives have seen a significant change to its overall usage and damage output. You can mod these for combo builds, but why do that, right? The glaive can be thrown for decent damage, and you can detonate it with the alternate fire button for an explosion. The build is pretty similar to the heavy attack ones, but with a slight change in a few mods, with the use of volatile quick return for the 100% chance to explode and increase its blast radius, and Spoiled Strike instead of range or even more raw damage. You can replace this with Power Throw or Gladiator Might, up to you really. And now at number 2, NIKANA Prime, an MR12 NIKANA, also known as the Weep Stick, the best NIKANA out there. It is even with its crit chance and status, balanced crit damage and attack speed, and heavy in the slash department. It is a perfect weapon. This weapon can be modded for combos and heavy attacks, and the best stance for this weapon is Blind Justice, with its simplicity and momentum. And now, instead of showing you the same build, please do refer to the number 5 slot on the list and use the builds there, since they use the exact same builds. Yes, this is how stale the melee meta is. And now for the number 1 spot, I'm pretty sure most of you have guessed it, and it is none other than the KRONEN Prime, a mastery rank 13 Tomva, which are heavy and slash as well, with decent crit chance, crit damage, good attack speed, and a good amount of status chance. And the stance used will be Sovereign Outcast. This combo has crazy sweeping motion, allowing you to cover a lot with one swing, and its forward and block combo increases your reach and momentum. So if you get a Riven for this weapon, do get some range in there, since it just makes it better. And as for the builds, do refer to spot number 5 on the list yet again. But if you want to increase your melee damage and get some juicy crits, I suggest you to get a Helios with the Deconstructor. And on the Helios, you want the mod Detect Vulnerability. Basically, you get yourself a Pocket Sonar Banshee, allowing you to deal extra damage, basically having another damage multiplier. And for its weapon, just give it 3 Gladiator mods for their set effect bonus, giving you crit chance per combo. Think of it like a smaller blood rush that you don't have to run on your melee. You won't lose the stacks even if your sentinel dies. You only lose them if you go down and force revive. And of course, the infamous Kuva Nucor, the best primer in the game, and it is only used as a utility weapon, nothing else, just to apply several status effects, and one of them being the 10 stacks of Viral, which basically gives you a damage multiplier to the enemies. All these small things can be used to increase your damage and have it scale without a Riven, proven time and time again with my level cap runs. Alright, now let me prepare myself for the salty little kids in the comment section. So this has been it from me. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe. For more Warframe content, streams, and so much more, do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more, and as always, peace.